I remember you when you were at Alabama. I was there about the same time you were, and it was during a transition phase.
Is that
Different
what you
coach.
call it? That's what you call it, the transition phase?
Well, I thought
Okay,
as
you can
far
just be
I
real.
thought
We
about as
were
far
there.
as I thought about as far as coaches go. I mean, when I was there, I experienced like four coaches in 5 years. I mean, DeBose, and then we got Francione who left in the middle of the night. 20 minutes of Mike Price, and then Coach Shula. So yeah, it was kind of interesting. So, but I remember your class when y'all came in, man. I spoke with Rudy Griffin before. Y'all had this undeniable hunger and drive, like y'all were going to be that squad that turned everything around. Can you kind of talk about that and that mentality you guys had?
Well, it was funny. So, Dubose never coached me, but he was that staff did offer me a scholarship, and then they got fired like randomly. But it was funny. I think the funniest part was how we all came in, and we were one of the lowest rated classes that Alabama had in a long time. Marvin Constant, those couple classes before us were really, really highly rated, and they had a whole bunch of parade All American guys. You look at my class, I think we didn't have anybody besides Brody Kroll. He was the only one that a lot of people kind of knew of, and everybody else was much, much, much less talked about and things like that. So by the time we were able to kind of get on the field, we played a lot of us early. They tried to redshirt as many as they could because we understood that we were going to be on probation because of what past things people had done. We're not even going to go into that, nor do we have to talk about it, but we all know about it. That's why I'm smiling so hard right now. So to be able to see all this and like have to go through that, to have the older guys really treat us like dirt, it really humbled us all, but it made us all come together as our one class that we had to lean on each other all the time. And then when all those guys left and it was just us playing all the time, it was the same thing that we had to really lean on each other. And eventually we started winning ball games, and we found so many ways to lose the game our first couple of years out there playing. But by our senior year, we started to really figure it out, like what worked for us, and it really turned out to be one of the better defenses that came through Alabama.
I guess who really, stood out to you the most as far as a leader on that team, or was it all just a collective unit as far as returning that defense back to glory? Because y'all did do that, man. We were ranked number one in the nation on almost every category in 2005.
Yeah, it's amazing to see how we played. For me, the leaders on that defense would easily be somebody like D'Amico Ryans. We always had somebody up front. Rudy Griffin's a guy who didn't put up great numbers, but was a steady player up front for us that did a lot of talking, always producing. You knew exactly where they were going to be at. And in the back half, I guess you could point to me, but I really wasn't that type of guy. I'm kind of a selfish guy, so you don't want selfish guys being your leaders. So I was more of a me guy at the time, and it was just all about me, and I wanted to do whatever I wanted to do. So, but leadership wise, definitely had to be D'Amico Ryans.
Sound like you was playing with Kenny Smith. That's what I, when I played with Kenny. No, Kenny did what he wanted to do. Like we would have a blitz call. Kenny's supposed to hit the A gap. Kenny is all the way out here on the tight end doing what I'm like. Kenny, you left me exposed, man. I done got hit by a guard and a tackle because you don't want to do what you're supposed to do. I get it.
It's funny, Roman. You said that leadership wasn't your thing, but in your NFL scouting report, that was one of the top things that they mentioned about you.
Hey man, look, you can fool anyone once or twice. You know what I mean? And the clock's right. Twice a day, no matter what. So it's just really funny because I didn't walk at it and like not do my assignment. It was more that I just didn't care about trying to make sure everybody else was like rah rah system, but I'm not that type of guy. I'm more on the level of I'm going to play hard. So if you can't play hard and go off of me and my vibe, then I don't really want you out there. So if you can't get down like how I'm going to get down, whether I'm just now coming in or maybe I stayed out too late the night before, none of that matters because once I cross these white lines, I'm going to play a certain way with a certain type of attitude. And if you can't get with me, then I don't really want you out there. So I'm going to play so hard that it's going to make you uncomfortable unless you raise your game up to mine.
Yeah, Pounders did mess up a lot of our practices, them $2 Tuesdays, but we ain't gonna get into that. But speaking of leadership, I would love to get all three of y'all's take on Alabama's performance last year. Because again, I don't feel like we played up to the Alabama standard last year. I feel like it was a lot of guys who were playing me ball and they weren't into the whole team concept. So, I would love to get you all's thoughts on that and the current secondary moving forward.
Yeah.
Let me see. I think, from the outside looking in, from the outside looking in, and you look at what Alabama football has been through different decades and everything. And the one thing that's always been consistent, even though, went through this age where we scored a lot of points and did a lot of things like that offensively, we had a lot of superstar individually with running backs or wide receivers. Defensively, there was a certain kind of steadiness about Alabama football. And you kind of saw that wane a little bit last year. You don't know if that was because of injuries, because of the people that you thought was going to be there. But the one thing Alabama always was able to do, and which I think will help them more this year, is because a lot of the young players they've had were able to come in and play and contribute. And some of those young players didn't play like the 5-star players that they came in as. One thing Alabama's always been able to do is get 5-star players to play like 5-star players, but not only 5-star players. They got, if you were a 3-star, you was gonna play like a 4-star or a 5-star. You didn't see that last year. And at some point, it used to be Alabama could will their way to get into that point. And we always, last year, it's like we was waiting on someone to lead them defensively. We were waiting on somebody to step up and say, okay, this is Alabama and this is the way we do it. And it didn't seem like that happened. So that was a disappointing thing for me, and it seems like, it was a little turmoil with the coaching staff. I don't know. I wasn't there. This is just from my outside looking in perspective. But the turnover, I thought finally caught up with Alabama. I thought the turnover with the continuity between player and coach wasn't necessarily there, or it didn't look like it there. It looked like nobody was really sure about who was supposed to be doing this, and when it did screw up, how do we fix it? So that was my take on it.
Mr. Jackson?
My take over about the same as Fernando. It was a lot of miscommunication and not enough talking out there. The defense wasn't up to par like the offense. I think it was a lot of young guys that was thrown in a situation that they wasn't used to. And a lot of older guys wasn't stepping up and teaching the young guys how to be a player and how to do it the right way. I saw a lot of uncertainness, a lot of missed tackles, a lot of guys not hustling to the ball. Just one of those guys when you first come in, when a whole coaching staff first come in and get a team. That's what it looked like last year. Like a lot of guys from the coaching staff to the players, that a lot of trust wasn't there, and a lot of people that didn't know what they was doing. And like you said, he had a lot of hurt people, a lot of hurt guys that couldn't contribute last year, and that hurts the program too. But at the same time, we supposed to have these 5-star guys, and I just didn't think that they prepared themselves well enough to be able to play like they supposed to play last year. I know when you score 40-some points on Auburn, you're supposed to win that game, no matter what kind of circumstances that is. It's like a track meet between both teams, and I never seen Alabama defense play like that before. Just let people run up and down the field on you. That pisses me off because I'm a defensive minded guy, and I like head hunting. I like trying to stop guys playing offense guys, but at the same time, but when you see that, something ain't right with the program and something need to be fixed. And I think Nick gonna fix that this year. And like Fernando said too, a lot of people in and out. I think we need to keep some of those coaches. And I know everybody want to be a head coach and everybody want to go do their own thing, and that's understandable. And but at the same time too, we gotta be able to keep those guys there for a couple of years and make sure we can win some more championships, and making sure that everybody's doing what their job is, and making sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to do on defense. Right now, the offense is the prime example. Whenever you went to an Alabama game, in the last 30 years looking for offense. You haven't, because it's always been run, pass, run, pass. And you got the defense. You always worry about the defense. You know, we had all our guys making plays on defense. So that's what I think, that we need to get that mojo back and need to get that feeling back and get that defensive minded back and go on to playing like Alabama used to play.
You know, there's going to be a lot of challenges that, you know, people just don't expect. So who's that one guy that you all are looking forward to seeing how he's going to impact Alabama as they move into the season? Because, you know, most people are saying, Surtain, it's time for him to step up and be that guy. So who's that guy for you all?
Well, basically, to me, Marvin, I really don't have no guy. That whole defense got to show me.
Yeah.
You know, that whole defense got to show me so I could pick a guy. Right now, I don't think it is a guy on that team right now this year that could just say, I could just pick, you know, from. You know, yeah, you can say Patrick Surtain, but the thing is, how much can a corner do? You know what I mean? He can lock down one guy, but what about those guys in the middle? What can those guys? I have no idea what those guys could do in the middle. You know, so when those games come, and when I see them first two games, then I might say, okay, I got a guy now. But right now, I can't pick not one guy that steps that I can look at and look on that roster and say, this guy gonna be a beast. Yeah, everybody look good on paper, 5 stars or whatever. We had 5 stars last year, but they didn't show up. But like I said, you got to pick. I'm picking my guy at the second game of the year or the third game of the year. But right now, I don't have a guy.
For me, I guess I would say Moss, man. You know, I would say that him coming back, if he's going to be that dominant force that he was, you know what I mean? What we expected last year, you know, the stabilizing force of our defense to where since I was a corner, I will say a corner can do quite a bit. But what I will say is this: if you can have a dominant force in the middle and a corner outside, you can do a lot of things. And Roman Harper, that's the one thing I did like about what you said. They have to diversify. The one thing I used to say I hated when I watched Alabama football is I knew on third and short or on the goal line, a rub route was always going to beat them because they were going to play that combo coverage and they wasn't getting out of it. Now, the one thing you love about Alabama is that their consistency on what they do and they believe in what they do. But sometimes you do have to try to switch up some things to make an offense think about it, because they can put you, if they know what they can put you in offensively to get the look they want, that's what they're going to do. So when Harp said that, that's the one thing that came to mind for me. I was like, man, down there on the goal line and on third and shorts, everybody knows if you run rub routes, you can get Alabama in a predicament that 9 times out of 10 you can win. Unless Alabama guys are just better than your guys.
You know, honestly, I thought we would have abandoned that playing Clemson with Deshaun Watson. Oh, they abused us with that stupid rub route.
Man.
Like, why are we still playing man-to-man? Switch off or play zone. It's simple.
Hey, I get beat up about this all the time. They're like, Alabama just won't. I say, man, you know, the one thing I say, man, now, hey, they believe in what they do and they stick with it, but I would like to see a little switch up from that standpoint. But if those two players, though, defensively, if Moss and Surtain play up to what they can, they have an opportunity to be scary. Because in the secondary, what Nick does, kind of like the Patriots and everything like that, if you can lock that one guy up, you can do a lot of things in the secondary, you know, man, to help the other side so they come along and everything. And if you have that dominant guy in the middle, your outside rushers can do a lot of things that can wreak havoc on the offense. And so if those two players right there come in and play up to their standards, they have an opportunity to be special.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I think Dylan Moses in the middle has to be that guy defensively. But I'm going to go a completely different lane. I'm going to go my guy who's really going to impact the season. It's got to be Steve Sarkisian calling the plays offensively, and Najee Harris. Can Najee Harris do what Derrick Henry did? Can he actually carry Alabama, toting the load, and carry them to a championship game? because we're used to having just this average quarterback at Alabama. We've never had a Tua Tagovailoa. That was the first time. So I don't want us to all of a sudden think like, oh, this is what we got to have. This is what we want all the time. We need to let that girlfriend go. Just understand you had a nice one. Now you need to come back to reality, which gets back to running the ball, being physical with the dominant offensive line. You look at every book tells you Alabama has the best offensive line in the country, consistently from side to side, left to right. It's a complete dominant offensive line. Use these big boys, run the ball. Mac Jones to be able to art delicate decision with the football, use it in Devontae Smith, Waddle, Jalen Waddle, all these other people around, and let this boy Najee Harris tote this rock and take us to the promised land. If we do that, that can give yourself enough chances to now defensively, all you need is 1 or 2 turnovers. And then the game slows down offensively enough to where now it puts pressure on the opposing team to try and play catch up. So I think you have to play more complementary football. We need to do better offensively by calling a better game, which is really running the ball more and then taking the pressure off of Mac Jones. And then defensively, having Dylan Moses is going to be great. But right, action. I need him to make A's. For him to be all-world, all-everything. The last all-world player that we had at the top of college recruiting and all that other stuff that came in Alabama like that was Landon Collins. And he made a big impact when he was there. Patty Surtain, I think he's been good, but he needs to be great.
Right. And it's funny that you talk about Najee and running the ball. That's going to be important this season because you're looking at playing 10 SEC games this year. That's not normal. That's a lot of abuse. That's a lot of wear and tear. It's going to be who can hold up, survival of the fittest. So, you're going to have to be able to run the ball because you don't want to be out there with the track meet every week because your team's going to be shot at the end of the season.
Yes, it is.
One person I've got my eye on, it's a coach, it's not a player. And Harp, when I ask this, I want you to answer first because you actually played with him. And he was very physical in college, and I believe he carries that through in his coaching style. He's very demanding, he's very passionate, and he has a fire inside him. And that's Freddie Roach. He's now one of the defensive coaches. How does adding him to that staff immediately change everything?
Well, hopefully it's an upgrade. Freddie did not play D-line. He was terrible on his get-off. But he was a great linebacker, like you said. He was physical. He played hard. He played fast. And now I like him to coach D-line because now coaching D-line is not that hard, all right? The closer you play to the ball, the dumber you can be. The further away from the ball you are, the smarter you got to be. That's why all these DBs are so smart. Ask these guys, all right? We're so smart. So all you have to do is coach hands, all right? The physicality, getting off the ball, not staying blocked. And you recruit the best of the best, so it's not like you're not working with talent here. You're not playing with some duds. You got studs all over the place. Before having DJ Dale back, these guys should come out and start to wreck shop up front. Now, all of a sudden, now we look up and we didn't even know we had such a dominant force up front. That is the growth and improvement that we're talking about that we need from Alabama's defense here. If they have goals and aspirations to beat somebody, to beat Clemson, or to be able to beat Georgia, to be able to beat Texas A&M, it's going to be a really tough game in week 2. So I'm really looking forward to all these matchups and who's going to really show up. And we'll know a lot by week 2 or 3 if this Alabama team is for real and all these other teams in the SEC, who's for real and who's pretenders.
So, Kevin, what do you think about having Freddie Roach coming to that coaching staff, what he brings to the table? Do you feel like that he brings the fire that's been missing?
I do. When you ever get a guy that's played there and heart is there and come back to the University of Alabama to coach there, it's something about that coach that gives those guys, because he's been there. He's been through that. He's been through that era. He's been through that team. He knows what the ins and outs on the football field is. He's been to that coaching staff and all. He's on that team before, so he brings a lot to those guys, and those guys really probably look up to him more than they looked up to the rest of the coaches because of what he has done and what he has been through and what team he was on. So I feel like Fred is a good addition to that coaching staff because of his work ethic, and he do a great job. I watched him a couple of times in practice when I watched him back in the days, and he do a really good job on technique and hand placement, like Roman said. And he do a great job of getting into those guys and making those guys play hard.
Kevin, man, keep it real. He can talk to the players about Tutwiler. He can talk to the players about where they go on campus and hanging out, because he's been there. I mean, let's keep it real here.
Exactly.
That's why the players are coming ready. That's why, because he can talk to them about that. He's been a player.
Hey, Roman, that's why they'll play hard for him, because he already gonna tell them where to hang out at and where time to be out.
Exactly.
I mean, I think that's the point, though. I think, and more so from a player standpoint, what we talked about is trust. You know, I think for a long time now, Nick has hired a lot of people that he's helped, and he hadn't gotten back the same type of loyalty that he's displayed to some of the coaches that he's brought in. And I think that hire right there is going to do a lot in the building as far as trust. And when a coaching staff has that trust, that's what you need. And the players will see that, though. The players will see his energy. And the way he brings to the field is the fact that it's more than just a coaching job to him. You know, I mean, he was at another SEC school. Yes, that's fine. He was already making the money. He's already done it. Okay, but this is more than a coaching job to him. You know, this is home. You know, like Bama said, Mama was calling. You know, it was time to get back to what Alabama does. And I think him being there helps that. You know, when you said the thing about Steve, so okay, that's the same thing about Shark. If he don't call a good game, we're going to have problems offensively if he doesn't understand what Alabama football is. You know, there was a reason why now he left and went to the Falcons, and we got him back. Now, you know, don't get me wrong. When I tell you, when I say the whole thing about trust, when Alabama got Sharp, didn't nobody want to touch him. Didn't nobody want to touch him after that USC thing. Now, let's just be real. Nick brought him in, got him back to where he should be, and then he left and went to the Falcons or whatever, you know what I mean? So now I think he's back, and that whole thing about trust and loyalty, you know, it means something in Alabama. It has for a while, and I think we kind of got away from that. Well, and yeah.
Oh no, you go ahead. You can finish.
No, I'm just saying. So I think that you know, like you said, everybody wants to be a head coach, and everybody wants to do this, and everybody wants to do that. But one thing I heard Nick say is this: I'm okay with you leaving me, but gonna be a head coach. But don't take my other coaches away from me that I'm building my program with after I've gotten you here and giving you the opportunities that you have. So that was one of the things I think is going to help, though. I think that those two people being back and being in the system and actually understanding what Alabama football is, you know what I mean? Like, and when you say if Shark does that, they have a very good opportunity to be good, because this season is going to be new for everybody with everything that's going on with COVID and everything and how you're going to have to manage everything. If you can make it through those first 4 or 5 games and not completely be beat up and broke down and everything, you're going to have a shot to be special just because, you know, the way it's set up this year. You know what I mean? It's 3 conferences, really. And you can call it what you want to. Hey, we get another championship this year. I'm not going to put an asterisk by it because of COVID.
Right. Right. Well, gentlemen, we're almost out of time, and it's too bad because I was going to get Fernando to tell us a story about that time Dubo sent them back in, and Eric Curley and Chris Hood barricaded the doors and wouldn't let the players go practice, but that's a story for another day.
I can't wait to hear that.
I need to hear that one too.
Oh, man.
Hey, that's why Fernando just laughed. Right?
Hey, I heard Coach White told me a little bit about that.
Man.
All right, guys. I could definitely talk about this stuff all night, but before we close out, can each of y'all give us, some closing words, and then also, if you're on social media, can you give us a way to contact you?
Well, I'll get up out of here first, man. But just closing words is, man, it was great to be on the show, Marvin. You know how I feel about you, man. Still waiting, like I said, still waiting on my book. You know, I'm trying to get in shape.
Yeah.
You know, everybody get Marvin's book now, because like he looking good. He looking good. He's doing what he needs to
He does
do. I'm
look
trying
good.
to make sure.
Yeah, he does.
I'm trying to make sure I can get back in shape and everything like that. But man, the show, I wish y'all the best. I know everything is going to be great, man. If you ever need anything, Marvin, you know how to get in contact with me.
I got you, brother.
I love to come on. All the other guys, man, it's always like what Marvin said at the beginning of the show is great. You know what I mean? For Bama guys to get together, everybody know A-Day is unbelievable and everything. That's the one thing that makes Alabama special. It doesn't matter what decade or generation you came in. Once you play for that Alabama, once you that Bama Sci-Fi, you Bama Sci-Fi for life. And I love y'all. Look forward to seeing what y'all doing in your futures, and good luck with everything.
Thank you, brother.
Hey, before you go, real quick, Fernando, got to tell y'all something. You and Kevin something. Actually, my very first Alabama game that I ever went to, and it's hard being an Alabama fan growing up in Mississippi. You don't get a lot of opportunities to go to Alabama games because they don't quite understand football over here. But my very first Alabama game, I actually got my very first 2 autographs were from you and Kevin. So that was a big deal for me, and I still have this to this day. So I thought it was a pretty big deal. So just wanted to share that with you guys.
I appreciate that.
Oh yeah, man, really do.
All right. Well, I guess it's my turn. All right. Well, look, man, I just want to say, hey, look, man, I'm always honored because I grew up in Alabama. I grew up hearing about Kevin Jackson, Fernando Bryant. I saw Marvin Constant when he was at Central Tuscaloosa when he came to Prattville. So I have extremely enjoyed hearing you guys talk ball. I could do this all night. I love football. And Fernando, you're right, man. It's B-Sci-Fi, and I can't wait till another A-Day comes. We'll be able to, after this COVID thing, everybody's been able to get back together. Marvin, you do a great job of bringing all the guys back and making sure you keep the connection there, man, and making sure that we all get back together and do some things outside of just A-Day, together as just all alumni. Keep that up, man. I appreciate it. Thanks, guys, for reaching out to me. You can holler me, Harp41 on Instagram, Harp_41 on Instagram, Harp41 on Twitter. So check me out, man. Hopefully I keep getting better on this TV thing, man. I'm going to get there.
Well, we definitely looking forward to it. And yes, guys, the barbecue hopefully will be back on with a few other events this upcoming 8 days. Hopefully COVID will cooperate so we can get our events off this year, you know, but we'll see.
All right, Kevin, that leaves you.
Yeah, I see. Man, I'm honored to thank you guys for even inviting me on this show with 2 great legends of University of Alabama football players, Roman and Fernando. Those guys was unbelievable, and a great host guy, Marvin. He was unbelievable. Watching him when I was coming back some, and just honored to be here with you guys, and man, y'all doing some great things, and keep it up, man, and keep getting guys together. And like you said, whatever you need from me, man, you guys got my number. Marvin, you got my number. Just holler at me. I'll be there if you need anything. Man, I need to get that book too. Whatever, send me where I need to send my money, because I need to get ripped up like you. Cause boy, you're looking real good. I was just when I seen that book, and I seen that cover, I'm like, damn. I said, boy.
Hey man, I'm just trying to live good in my 40s. That's all.
Yeah, hey, you're doing a damn good job. I can tell you that, brother. Hey, y'all keep it up, man. And thanks, man. And God bless each and every one of you guys.
Again, I just want to thank you all, man.